in the kitchen now, and you all know I'm on a journey to improve my cooking skills. And one big part of cooking is cutting and chopping, which recently didn't go so well. You're looking at me there a couple weeks ago. I accidentally cut my finger during a cooking segment with producer Rebecca. Blood everywhere. I was okay though, but my producers did decide at that point it was time to bring in some professional help. So cookbook author and YouTuber Kenji Lopez-Alt is back on the show to help me. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I will try really hard to keep, all the chopping my fingers off to a minimum today.
What were you cutting when you cut yourself?
Thank you for asking. I was trying to get a mushroom out of one of those vegetable choppers where you really, and I didn't realize how.
Like a slap chop type thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then ended up slicing my finger.
Oh boy.
Didn't want to say anything on air to anyone, but the blood started going down on a potato and felt like I needed to let the viewers at home know that I was okay.
Yeah.
But we will try really hard not to do that. I have a good feeling because you're here. What is the best way to hold a knife when you're cutting something?
Yeah, well, so a knife has, there is a handle, and a lot of people just kind of grab it like that.
Yeah.
When you do it like that, the knife actually doesn't really balance very well, so it kind of falls over. So a knife is made to balance right around here, right around where the handle meets the blade. So when you're holding a knife, you actually want your 3 fingers here, and then your thumb and your forefinger on the blade, and that's going to help the knife balance a lot more, and also give you a lot more sort of precision and control. It's kind of like if you were trying to draw by grabbing a pencil like this, as opposed to using your fingers, which give you a lot more control.
Yeah, and it's almost like chopsticks too, which I'm terrible at using as well. But
yes.
Okay, so 3 fingers,
yeah,
hold
so
it like this.
3 fingers here, and then you kind of pinch right up here with your thumb and your forefinger.
This knife feels like kind of big, but you have even a larger one over there. What is that called, and what do you use?
Well, this one is a Chinese cleaver. It's actually sort of like the Chinese equivalent of a Western chef's knife. So this is sort of like an all-purpose knife that you use. Yeah, you can. It's good for precise work. It's good for sort of heavy-duty stuff. You can pick food up easily with it. It's really great for like doing something like if you want to cut garlic really fast, you just take it like this.
I can't wait to watch this. Oh!
Right? And your garlic is chopped. So it's
what? Did you do that again? Did you smash it first and then cut it, or what? What just happened?
No. I didn't even smash it first. Here we can do the same with some ginger here. So you could peel a ginger. I often don't peel my ginger, but if you cut off like a few coins like that,
Yeah.
And then you put it right on the edge of your board, right? And then just give it a little whack.
And then it's already done.
Yeah, it's mostly done, and then just like a couple little rough things, and your ginger comes out.
Oh my goodness! And you were telling me too about your knives, which is so cool. You designed some of these as well. Tell everyone about that.
Yeah,
is this one that you designed?
Yeah, so these two actually. So I met a knife maker in Oregon. Actually, during the pandemic, we were driving around with our daughter, who was just 2 years old at the time, and so we actually randomly met a knife maker in Oregon who was a master knife maker. I saw him walking out of his shop. I asked him what he does. He says, I make knives. He said, what do you do? And I said, I cook. And so I spent a couple days making knives with him. And then since then, we've become sort of close friends. And we partnered with them to produce this knife, which we call it the shitoku. So it's there's a Japanese style knife called santoku, which means 3 qualities, which you might have seen. It's a sort of standard Japanese shaped all-purpose knife. This one, we call it shitoku because it has 4 qualities. It does slicing, chopping, mincing, and then it has a slightly more curved tip, like a Western style curved tip, so you can do a rock chop like that. Yeah.
Someone was teaching me that recently too, a rock chop. Okay.
Yeah.
Show me how, because I have all of this sometimes when I'm cooking, and to be honest, a lot of times I'm chopping before people come over because I don't want to be judged. I will dice
Well, that's totally
my
fine.
onion, and I will get there, but it might not be pretty. So
yeah, that's totally fine. I mean, that's the number one rule of working with a knife is that you want to go at a pace that's comfortable to you. And you sort of increase that as you get better. But so all right, so let's start with an onion. So first thing you want to do is cut off the root end.
Okay.
Sorry, the stem end. Like that, okay?
I'm at least holding the knife correctly now, so we're off to a great
start.
With
virtually everything you're going to cut, your first step is going to be to try and get it as stable as possible, which means like giving it a flat surface. So now put it down on that flat surface so it's nice and stable, right? And then you want to cut it in half again. So one thing you're doing right now is you're holding the knife, you're holding the onion like that, right?
And you're worried that
So you're putting your finger like right where it can get cut. So when you're holding something for chopping, here let's peel.
Okay.
One of these halves.
I can tell these knives are so sharp too, which is also probably really important, right?
A sharp knife is very important, yeah, because you want your knife to, when you're putting pressure on food, you want your knife to sink into it. If your knife is not sharp enough, what can happen is that you're using more force than you need, and the knife can actually sort of slip off the side of the food, and that's when it gets into your hand.
Okay.
So you want the knife to be really sharp so it goes right into the food. Yeah. Okay. So when you're holding your onion here, okay, instead of keeping your fingers like that, you want to do what's called the claw. So
the claw.
Yeah, exactly. So keep your fingertips hidden behind the knuckles here. That way you can't slice them off.
Where were you in my life before? Okay, got it.
And we're going to start the onion by cutting it this way.
Okay.
So with the grain. And you're going to aim kind of at a point somewhere like an invisible point underneath the board. So not quite towards the center of the onion, not quite straight up and down.
And I'm not fully cutting through. I'm just doing like little slices. Is that
exactly.
what you're doing?
You're leaving the root end intact. And that's also going to help it all stay really nice and stable.
And then I don't need my vegetable
Perfect.
chopper.
Yeah,
okay.
and then you turn it, and then you just cut it the other way.
Okay. Ooh.
There you go. And that's a great claw you got.
Do I have? Okay, thank you. The
and
claw.
Then as you get towards the end here, you're going to see that like the onion starts to become a little bit less stable because this part's smaller,
you're
so you
kind
can
of
actually
coming to the end.
flatten it down to its more stable surface. So
like this
Yeah,
again?
exactly. And then do the same thing.
Holy moly.
See?
Something that would take me an hour just took me, I don't know how long that was,
really
but that
fast,
was great. Oh my gosh. Okay, what else do you have here, like chopping wise, like
All right,
that's
so
hard or difficult?
let's talk about the back slice. Okay, so this one.
This feels advanced.
This one is pretty advanced. You might not necessarily need to do this at home. So what you were doing just now is chopping, which is kind of a up and down motion. Okay. When you're cutting more delicate things like these scallions, for instance, you want to do what's called a back slice. Okay. So we can start by trimming off the edges here.
Okay, I can do that. Let me
Trimming
get my
off the
little.
ends.
Hold it. Okay.
Yep. Right. And so now you could just go kind of up and down and chop like this. Okay. But what happens when you do that is that you end up kind of crushing them a little bit more than they need to be. So instead, what we're going to do is plant the tip of your knife here, okay, and then with your claw like this, yeah, you want your knife like right against your knuckle.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, and that's what's sort of going to guide your knife. And so you want to pull back while going down. But keep the tip of your knife on the board at all times. And the idea here is that you want to sort of maximize horizontal motion. So that you're really slicing as evenly as possible with as little pressure as possible.
Well, that's an art. Jeez, advanced. I want to talk to you before we leave. You have an event coming up as well. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so this is the third season. It's called Tasting Notes. It's a live show. We're doing the first one at Town Hall next Thursday, which is April 2nd. And it's a live interactive food and music show that's sort of lots of audience participation, lots of sort of audio and flavor illusions. There'll be guests on stage. Everyone in the audience will be participating as well. It's just a big sort of fun food and music show that explores creativity in those two fields.
Well, I know you're so busy and you're so big time, and the fact that I can say that you helped teach me how to chop an onion for the rest of my life is really cool. Thank you so much for being here, Kenji.
Thanks for having me again.
No blood.
No blood.